Greetings, guys. Welcome to another episode of CEO Chatter Live. And as you all can see, this is a very special episode because I have a guest with me. Don't forget that CEO Chatter Live is where business and life intersect. So we're going to dive right into things with our guests. We are live here today at Root Branch Media Group. I'm very excited. And I have with me Dr. Vonnya Pettigrew. Did I say it correctly?
You did.
Okay, great.
Thank you, girl.
So thank you, Dr. Vonnya, for being here with us today. Can you tell our audience a little bit about who you are?
Well, one, we are really honored to have you and Swag Her Magazine here in studio with us at the RBMG building, Canton Harbor. I am Dr. Vonnya Pettigrew, CEO of Root Branch Media Group, the media mogul. Root Branch, we are almost 20 years in business now, 100% owned and operated by me. And you are live right now inside our new home, our studios, where we are notably known, historically now making known, for buying the block on Baltimore's waterfront. So welcome to our studio.
I love it here, y'all. It is so beautiful. They have everything you need. They're very accommodating. It has just been like, as far as production, I hadn't just been in a lot of production studios, but I really have enjoyed this one and just the way that I have been treated. So I just want to note that as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Vonnya, and team, because the team has been just as good.
Thank you.
So to get right into things, you've built an incredible media empire with Root Branch Media Group and its subsidiaries. What mindset or practice has been the key to scaling from a production firm to owning a block along Baltimore's waterfront?
So honestly, part of growing and scaling, it's at the foundation, I guess, creating systems that work, even when you aren't physically the one doing the work. And I think that's a big transition for a lot of entrepreneurs when you realize you grow from being kind of a solopreneur to a true entrepreneur and having team underneath you. So part of being able to grow and scale and, have team that you can count on to take on pieces of the work and lead and carry the ball, you have to kind of really, like the Bible say, write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it can run with it, right? So you really want to be able to be intentional about where you see your company going and the blueprint and really spell it out and then identify qualified talent that could really execute the vision. And so that's what we were able to do at a smaller scale. And so when an opportunity really presented itself, because we were, inundated with a lot of volume, we needed to create a lot of content in the midst of the pandemic, because just as you and I are sitting here, while we're in studio live, we're still talking to the world through our screen, right? So the world transitioned to this new platform of living and existing. So this is how we did our work, this is how we entertained ourselves, this is how our students went to school. And so there was a uptick in a need for media. And so as a company, it was a growth opportunity for us. And so while I didn't necessarily set my sights on buying a block, I did know that I needed to buy a studio space so that I could have space to be able to execute the work and do it in a socially distanced way. We need to be 6 feet apart. So I needed a lot of space, if you will. And so, again, that led to this opportunity. And having done the lead work, like I said, we're almost 20 years in business, really setting that foundational. We were at a place of readiness. So when the opportunity presented itself, we were able to really, truly just walk into the blessing.
Oh, I love that. And that is such a, just two things I took away from what you said was you mentioned intentionality, which is something that we're very big about. Mm-hmm. We even say we're for the intentional Black woman who likes to keep it real. So the fact that you've mentioned the fact that you were intentional about things, and then you also talked about clarity, just really being clear, and other people being able, not just that you can see your vision, but being so clear that other people can see your vision. And I think that that's really something oftentimes creatives can struggle with, because we can see everything, but not everybody else can see it. So I'm glad that you touched on that. So you've been honored as one of Maryland's top 100 women and awarded a Women of Vision Award alongside icons like Cicely Tyson and Ruby Dee. What does this season of recognition and legacy mean to you personally and professionally?
Wow. I mean, so we made history, if you will, 2 years ago, and for it to still hold the same level of, momentum and prestige to the community, 2 years later, it really is remarkable. I jokingly, say, whatever the case is, because the story, covers a wide gamut from me being in the media space, the work we do in the community with young people, the work we do with small businesses, but then also touching on real estate development. So it's sort of like I'm honored in all of these different categories, if you will. And so it gets to a point where it's like, it could be Juneteenth, it could be Kwanzaa, it could be, whatever it is, somehow our story falls within that shape work to be recognized. And so it really is incredible to, now look at this year, some of the types of awards that have been bestowed upon me are in STEM and, technology and truly in, even in the space of investment, being a beacon on behalf of the city of Baltimore as a tourist destination and speaking to global investors about investing in Baltimore, using my story as an example of someone who made a huge investment in this city.
Now that's when you know that you've made a real impact. When you can tell your story from all those different angles, when it can fit into all those different boxes, that's a very impactful story.
Thank
and
you.
I commend you on that. So being the first African-American woman in Maryland to buy a block on Baltimore's waterfront is groundbreaking. What inspired, well, actually, you kind of just shared that though, because the opportunity presented itself.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so we got that one. We're going to skip that question, guys. So, Root Branch doesn't just create media, it builds platforms for voices that matter.
Yeah.
Why is storytelling with purpose so important in the work you do? And how does your nonprofit arm, Root Branch Arts and Outreach, play a role in that?
Well, I mean, if I can just be honest and frank, no one's really trying to tell our story. And I mean, whether that's women stories or stories of people of color, minorities, I mean, people who, for whatever the reason, fall on the outskirts, they tend to find us. And because they know we will do justice to telling their story, and we will do it with integrity and honor, their culture, or even the significance. So we work with people that may have been justice impacted, or, again, it really covers such a wide range. But we also do traditional corporate, storytelling and content for organizations that are doing that community work. But because we are known for authentic storytelling, and we have a way of connecting with the community because we really represent the community, it's one thing to have a national ad maybe around the opioid issue, or maybe creating a media marketing campaign around, drug usage and the lock zone or something like that. But when a firm like Root Branch take on that work, because we have done some of those commercials, we're able to tell it from a different lens, because we not only understand the value and importance of what that possible medication could do, but we also understand the end user and what it does for how it impacts the community, the family, the children of the person who is dealing with this illness. And so when we're able to create media messaging, we're able to write it in a way with compassion, like I said, and empathy that connects with the viewer, so that they take it seriously and they know that the message is tailored towards them and they're now listening. Because sometimes, when things are put out into the media space, it's put in a way that sometimes may talk down to the community, or make assumptions or stereotypes about the community. But because we work so closely with the community, because we are the community, we know how to approach it from a very different place, and we have a track record of proven results because of that.
So you all have an advantage because you are a part of the community. This is your community that you're actually working with.
1,000%.
I love that.
And I don't want to jump ahead because I don't know if we're going to talk about that or not, but I kind of talk on this point, particularly when people ask me about AI, and while AI is a great tool, or ChatGPT, or any of these kind of, writing tools that may be useful in helping to craft well-written messages or communication, again, it misses the human value. So I always jokingly say AI can't outwrite me, because while it may be eloquently written, again, I know directly the impact these matters that I write about directly impact the constituents that we serve.
Wow. And that, I just think that is it's good when you can practice authenticity, but when you are actually when thinking about just taking it a level deeper, it makes me think about too, with you all being so involved in the community, what this is like, not just for looking from the outside in, you're
That's
actually
right.
in there with them.
That's right.
In the middle of the struggle. So I think that's really, I commend you on that and all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
So, with almost 20 years in media influence spanning from the White House to major publications, how have you remained grounded while growing into this visionary leadership role?
Well, life really do be life.
I know that.
And so it's almost, again, as the word states, to whom much is given, much is required. So while there's a lot of wins, there are a lot of shiny things, I get to do a lot of fun things and be in great rooms, there's a burden sometimes, there's a heavy lift that is there, and there's a legacy, a mantle that I'm carrying, at the same time. So wanting to be mindful in those actions, and how I intentionally and carefully, handle that level of responsibility. But also, like I said, life really be life, and I deal with all the same things that everyone else does. We all live in the same country. We're all dealing with all the same changes from the top down. When we see changes with the federal government or the state government, we do a lot of business with these agencies. So when funding is impacted or whatever policy changes and legislation is passed, that directly trickles down to a small business like myself. And so learning how to pivot and how to navigate, these difficult and challenging times, again, I face all the same things. So one of the things that make us so unique and special is because I know firsthand, the big side and when you're high and when you're low, right? We've worked with so many small businesses, and they want mentorship from me. They want to know how I bought the block. They want access to the things that, got us to this level of success. But a part of that journey, I also prep them for the challenges ahead, because I don't keep that away. I often openly talk about the struggle. I often talk about those periods of when, cash flow ain't flowing the way you believe that it ought to, or you need it to, so that they also understand that these are realistic barriers and challenges that we all face. But with strategic planning and collaborative work, we can, kind of, weather the storm together.
I like that. Weather the storm together. And collaboration is such I think, a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
Because it's really, I feel like with the way the economy is, collaborations tends to work better, as opposed to always thinking that something is going to be paid, or just like a lot of the times you get to work with more people, but also you get to pull from their audience. And I'm always talking about visibility. So I love collaboration. So I'm glad that you spoke on that, because I think more people need to grasp that concept. So what upcoming projects projects or collaborations can we look forward to from Root Branch Media Group or any of the other Root Branch entities?
Sure. So one of the things I'm really excited about, it's still in its development stage, but while we have fully developed a robust K through 12 education program, right? We have over 40 media arts instructors that go in and out of schools throughout Baltimore City. We have now, gained new partnerships with surrounding counties. So I'm looking forward to expanding our K through 12 programming into other districts. But beyond that, within this last year, our education program has now been acknowledged by the Maryland Education Commission to be on the track to be a career training school. And so this will now allow us to offer programming to young adults, offer workforce development, and really, because again, we own the property, we can offer that training on site here at our space, give them practicum usage in our studios, and then really set them on the trajectory as an apprentice, and really, beginning that pathway to essentially create our own ecosystem of media talent right here. So I'm very excited about that. As we look at some of the other career training schools, typically they fall in like the HVAC or the CTE lens, or maybe CDL or nursing or cosmetology and those types of industries. But to really be able to be a beacon to introduce media as, another pathway to career and to entrepreneurship, and Root Branch to be that anchor entity to be able to bring that to market and train up this talent right here locally in Baltimore in the DMV is something we're really, really excited to be leading the way in.
I'm excited for y'all. That sounds so amazing. I've had an interest in something similar. So to see someone actually putting it all together, I just think that is so amazing. I commend you again for that.
You.
Like, look, you have really gained a fan here. And just for all the work that just being able to pull everything together for the years that you've been doing this, I'm just in awe. Because I know that it's not easy by any means.
Yes.
So my last question for you. How would you describe your swagger? What makes Dr. Vonnya Dr. Vonnya?
Well, one, I can always be found wearing my signature production black. Black on black on black. We blickety black, blackety black. Everything black. I mean, you see black women an impact in the backdrop. A black woman created this in the backdrop. When people say, what do the B stand for? I say it's for Baltimore, but I really say it's for the block. And it's also for blickety black.
Look, I thought you were going to say black already.
No, I'm being silly, but it is part of my style and my swagger. I like that, part of this journey is I'm a Philly girl too. So Philly and Baltimore are like cousin cities, So I love that I'm able to wear my hair in highlights and, still really be able to be my creative self and have my creative distinct look, but still represent an extreme level of professionalism and high aptitude of knowledge, So at the end of the day, one of the things that make us fun and what we bring to the table when we come into the room, we really know what we're talking about. We really know what we're doing. We have proven track record. We are an extremely award-winning, company. And we have, like I said, we have the receipts, we have the results. But without having to necessarily wear that on our sleeve all the time, we're really able to be ourselves. So it warms my heart when people meet me and they want to meet me or take a selfie with me, and they're kind of like, but you're so like down to earth. I didn't expect that you would be so approachable. But that's really what it's about, because I know that this journey, this path, all of these wins, it has been a blessing, but I'm not interested in keeping it to myself. So I really want to make myself available, as well as the spaces that we've produced and we created, including the RBMG building, as a space for opportunity and access, quite honestly.
Okay. Well, I love that. I have just really enjoyed this interview. I've learned so much about you just and your work, and even just kind of about the city of Baltimore, since we're kind of, transplants, I think this is what we're called.
Yeah.
So we're still learning the area, guys, and getting to know all the important figures in Baltimore. But Dr. Vonnya, you were one of the first people that I spotted on Instagram, so I've been following you for a while. I've been a fan for a while, but I'm even more, like I said, in awe now, having actually met you. So thank you for taking the time out to speak with me. Do you want to drop your plugs and where you can be found?
Yes, definitely connect with me on Instagram at Vonnya Rooted. That's my social page, my lifestyle page. And then we're Root Branch MG on everything from Instagram to YouTube, and definitely follow our website. If you have young people who want to learn more about media and connect in the media space, send us a message at our inquiry email. And if you're a school or a youth provider and you want to bring Root Branch to your school, to your city, like I say, I'm pulling up. I'm bringing my block to your block. So just DM us and we'll get it scheduled, and let's see how we can collab and grow this network.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys. We're about to head out, but thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to share the broadcast. And if you miss anything, you can always catch the replay, as well as this will be going on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts in a few days. So thank you all for tuning in. Peace and blessings.